One of the biggest lessons that I've been learning on the road is the illusion of control. And at the same time that I don't get to where I want to be by just letting go and surrendering. What I'm learning is that what does work is cultivating being in touch with what really is in each moment. To listen to myself, to stay open, to be grounded in myself, and being willing to question everything. And then being willing to do that all of the time. Really, it's a practice of presence with my connection with myself and my life. So where we left off at the end of the last video is that I had actually planned on going on another adventure. But then I got the call that Noel was finally on his way back west after spending time with his family for a few weeks. And so I excitedly agreed to meet up with him at my best friend Hannah's house.
Cheers! Well, the battery is dead on the car again. It's getting so hot. I think it's like 90 degrees today. So our car battery keeps dying, and it seems to die after only like 1 day, maybe 2 days of not turning the car on for like 15-20 minutes to charge the battery, just simply from like opening and closing the doors, you know, all the lights turn on and stuff like that. Our main concern is, like, say we're out kind of in the middle of nowhere, if it continues to progress and die quicker, our worst fear is getting stuck out somewhere where we'd either have no cell service or we couldn't get a jump. So luckily, we had the tools to get the battery out, and now we just need to decide, should we just replace the battery? Yeah, or we could take it to like an auto parts store and they just recharge it for free. We're not too sure what to do. What do you think we should do, Noel?
Yeah, my hit is that we should just get a new battery, unfortunately. But I mean, it's part of owning a car and living in the car is you're going to use the battery more than...
Well, let's go ahead and ask.
Yeah.
Ask them what their recommendation is.
It feels like life on the road is filled with many more chapters than normal life, because your life is just so full of transitions and millions of moments of new decisions where the entire trajectory of where you are and what you're doing completely can change and does change. And this time here at Hannah's felt like no exception. Noel returning meant another transition for us to figure out, honestly, the bigger picture of what in the world we were going to do next. There was a lot of things that we had to figure out because this was going to be the first time where we were both back on the road since we had been staying at the meditation retreat center for 4 months. And it felt like a lot had changed. Honestly, it brought up a lot. I found myself feeling like I had to confront a lot of my fears and doubts about being on the road, as well as finding myself questioning my very purpose for choosing road life all over again. First, we had to decide whether or not we wanted to accept a really amazing offer to house sit for the month of August. And the second was we had to decide whether or not we actually just wanted to stay at Hannah's for the month of July. Hannah was happy for us to stay, and she had a connection for some really wonderful temporary work for us for the month that would have been a really nice boost for us to fund our adventures. And finally, but certainly not last, we were facing a blank future where we could go anywhere or do anything, and that just simply meant that we had to really take a look at a lot and realign. To be completely honest, it's really rare that I feel certain about what I'm doing. I find myself going back and forth between feeling really empowered by what we're doing and feeling really aligned to it to feeling the complete opposite and feeling like we would be better off if we settled down somewhere, if we were saving money, or that life would be better if we were just in one place. And it's just another example of, going and living your dream doesn't mean that things are always easy or always flow, Wherever you are, there you are. But anyway, we found ourselves dealing with this classic conundrum where you're weighing different options, and some make sense in a linear, logical kind of way, and others don't make clear sense and don't have clear benefits on paper, but they are things that you just feel called to do. And I think that this is one of the hardest things about living an unconventional and self-made life. You have to constantly define your own path and priorities for yourself in the face of a lot of other structures of value and even fluctuations in your own perspective. But that's also the invitation and the opportunity for really embodying and understanding freedom and your own self-empowerment.
Me too. Hannah will be happy. I'm helping my foot.
Yeah, that's help.
Noel and I have started doing this thing that has been a really helpful tool and approach with life on the road, and we call it stirring the pot. Stirring the pot is where we speak to literally everything we're thinking, feeling. We talk about different options and scenarios and all of the things when we have to make a big decision, and we put it all on the table. Our fears, our hopes, logistics, finances, almost like we have a big giant pot of soup that is our life. So this is us stirring the pot, as we say.
The main things is just like, what is the priority right now?
And we don't want to go so far away and then not have time to, travel.
Figure out, do I feel connected to that place and want to go there?
And then also, places that are cooler.
I don't know where we're going to be mentally, emotionally, financially.
Basically on the ridge of the Rockies.
I'm really enjoying spending time with Hannah.
It sure is not hot right now. It's 60.
When we do this, it kicks up all of the things that might come up in relationship to a situation that we're facing. And it brings to light everything that we're feeling. And rather than trying to make a decision, we just let it simmer. We just give it lots of space and we let everything percolate and settle in our system. We don't make a decision right away. We wait until everything in the pot, so to speak, kind of settles down and we feel like we've come to a more neutral place before making a decision. So after a lot of conversations, in the meantime, while we let everything settle, we had such a good time soaking up the magic of the summer and spending time with Hannah.
to go get some stuff to change out the spark plugs. Noel's going to learn how to do the spark plugs in the car. Yeah, we just decided, I mean, the battery could still have a charge on it, but, you know, I think it's worth the peace of mind to just have a completely new battery, just in case we're out in the middle of nowhere, and if, in fact, the battery is on its way out, we just don't want to be in that kind of a situation of having to worry about it, so we are off. Word for the wise, if you are ever considering road life, make sure that you have an emergency fund and you have a good fund for unexpected car things. This is not financial advice, because actually when we were in Joshua Tree, we ended up having to replace all 4 of our tires because we got a nail in one of them. Bless you.
And we have all-wheel drive, whatever. But
yeah, we have all-wheel drive. Anyway, yeah, we had to replace all 4 tires unexpectedly. Anyway, it's a whole long story. Wow, it is so stunning here. Look at that.
I moved cargo transit van.
I know, I've been thinking about this.
The other thing that has been repeatedly coming up for Noel and I recently is whether or not we want to take the leap and buy a different rig. We intentionally chose to start road life in our station wagon for a bunch of different reasons, including we wanted to see if we even liked life on the road, and we wanted to really have the experience of challenging ourselves to try to do things as simply as possible. But now that we've been on the road for about 10 months, we've been finding ourselves considering other options, including different rigs or different setups.
To make that decision, we'd probably need to get settled somewhere for a while and have, build up another financial reserve. Because if we were to buy a rig now, it would drain all of the money that we have to stay on the road. Yeah. Now it's kind of hard to imagine, at least in the immediate future, settling down anywhere for a long period of time. But we say that now, I mean,
things can change instantaneously.
yeah.
Anything is possible.
Yay, the lights immediately turned on. Started right up.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Well.
It is 100 degrees. We have been doing nothing but sitting and watching tennis and basically doing nothing because it's so hot.
After getting the car battery replaced, it felt like something just shifted, and how we were feeling about all of the different factors that we were considering started to come together and clarify. We started to realize that even though we were having such a wonderful time staying with Hannah, and that, it would be great to make some money, that the heat and the logistics with our cats would make it really hard for us to stay and to work. But also, kind of more importantly, there was just something calling to us to stay on the road and to continue to explore places we haven't been before. It was this evening right here where we finally decided that we were going to spend the month of July on the road. One of my favorite quotes is from Rumi, and it goes, "Beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there." And honestly, it's that place that I want to live within. Not this world where we always feel like we have to make the best choice, but where we can live from somewhere beyond that. And so once we knew, it was time to get ready to go. Before we left, though, we had to get some of the most amazing local fruit. We got cherries and apricots from a little farm stand, and they were so amazing. I feel like I had never had a cherry before this day. We bought like 3 pounds of cherries, and it was expensive, but it was definitely worth every penny. We packed up the car and started planning where we wanted to go and just spent every other minute that we could with Hannah. What I've really come to is that the only life worth living for me right now is one where I feel like each decision, no matter how nonlinear it is or how much it makes sense or doesn't make sense, if it feels like it's leading me closer home to myself, and that I'm really listening to myself, that's all I want. And that's actually more important to me in the long run than a lot of other things that I feel like we're all told are really important. As I'm recording this and editing this video, we're coming up on 11 months on the road, and I cannot believe it. How is this my life? And I'm just so incredibly grateful, even if it's really scary sometimes. Wherever you are in the world, I hope you can find some time and space to lean into those things that scare you, those questions that scare you, but that ultimately can help you come home closer to living the life that you really want and your own grand adventure. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next week. Sending my love.
For the record, that's not a prairie chicken. It's a Wilson's snipe.
Not a kookaburra.